The characteristics most of us seem to have in common. Characteristic 8. We became addicted to people and were unable to distinguish among sex, love, and affection. For many of us, romantic obsession and love addiction are among the more subtle and insidious forms of our disease. When we were younger, we often found it hard to distinguish an innocent crush from an intoxicating attraction that triggered us. We might have convinced ourselves that our latest infatuation had to be the one and confused obsession with love. We craved the overwhelming feeling of being in love as we imagined it, the racing pulse, the cold sweat, and the extreme focus on another person. Eventually, a pattern emerged, and we developed destructive behaviors around these infatuations. We struggled to win the person's attention, but we were often disappointed even if we succeeded. Sometimes, these alluring qualities that attracted us to these people vanished when we eventually saw them as human, instead of a romantic ideal. Ultimately, these emotional highs and lows made our lives unmanageable. Often, trauma and stress from our childhood were the foundation for these unhealthy obsessions. A range of issues: alcoholism in the family, neglect, physical and emotional abuse, incest, contributed to experiences in which our needs were ignored or belittled. Some of us came from families incapable or unwilling to give us affection. In extreme cases, we didn't receive hugs, kisses, or even a smile at home. Still, we naturally needed affirmation, attention, and affection. When we didn't receive these things in our formative years, our self-esteem frequently suffered. Our families confirmed our worst fears, that we were indeed unlovable. We began trying to fill the void where self-esteem and acceptance should have been. If we failed to learn healthy boundaries as children, we had difficulty setting them as adults. If another person paid attention to us or showed the slightest affection, it could trigger us to obsess about them. Many times, we ignored the actual signals we received from the other person. Instead, we projected our fantasies onto them. We wanted them to conform to our image of what they should be. We often sent mixed messages and misinterpreted responses. We blurred the lines between sexual and non-sexual relationships, often mistaking sex for love and affection for sexual attraction. We needed sex or romantic intrigue to feel love. These exaggerated ideas continued into adulthood. We sought love and affection the only way we knew how, through an all-consuming focus on another person, wanting to own them and consummate our fantasies with sexual activity. When we violated sexual boundaries with our friends, they often withdrew from us, and the relationship suffered or disintegrated entirely, leaving us feeling rejected. People rotated in and out of our lives. Sometimes it seemed that the only friends we had were the people with whom we were sexually involved. Some of us developed a well-worn habit of engaging in sexual activity as means of finding love and affection. Yet, the very act of casual or anonymous sex thwarted our efforts to build intimate relationships. We found ourselves repeatedly frustrated and let down, blind to the fact that the sex act itself was transactional and not genuinely intimate. We were often confused, unable to see the difference between what we wanted and what we were getting. Our sexual encounters often left us with the feeling of emptiness and the need to fill ourselves with something better, but we didn't know what or how. If we tried dating, many of us found it difficult to establish any real connection. Often, we chose to be sexual right away, but doing so seemed to stall any further momentum in building an intimate relationship. It became yet another transactional experience, and we were discouraged. We still seemed to be missing out on a deeper, more intimate connection. Still, our addiction told us to do it again, convincing us that the next sex partner was our best hope for fulfillment. Some of us became obsessed with strangers or people we barely knew. We could quickly become hooked on another person and build an intricately conceived fantasy life about our future with them. These fantasies felt real and possible for us regardless of whether we knew the person. We objectified them, putting them on a pedestal, convincing ourselves that only they had the qualities that would make us happy and solve all of our problems. Sometimes these obsessive thoughts remained only fantasies, but they distracted us and made it difficult for us to function well. At other times, we pursued the objects of our fantasies to possess them. Some of us saw these people merely as conquests, trophies to add to our collection. In some cases, our perception of such a person's overwhelming attractiveness led us to suppress our personality. We idealized the object of our obsession, and they held power over us much as an addictive substance does. We found ourselves compelled to pursue our targets to all extremes, even violating our dignity if necessary. Moral values, integrity, and prior commitments fell to the wayside during our relentless quest. If we achieved our goal and connected with them, we immediately and compulsively immersed ourselves in their lives, only to discard them when we became obsessed with the next one. As this pattern repeated, we grew more confused about sex, love, and affection. These wires became intertwined, and we didn't know how to separate them.